I don't know if you know this or not, but QUBE is going to start carrying the 24-hour all-news cable network. And QUBE reporter Lorrie Secrest talked to the gentleman who's going to anchor that news, Daniel Schorr. Let's take a look.
Cable News Network, or CNN, is a 24-hour-a-day all-news network which will begin operations Sunday, June 1st. One of the most visible reporters for CNN will be former CBS News correspondent Daniel Schorr. Schorr will be a senior correspondent in Washington. He was in Columbus earlier this week on his way to Ohio University to receive the Award for Distinguished Service to Journalism, and he stopped to chat about Cable News Network. Mr. Schorr, how much material on CNN will be taped versus live, and what will the network offer the viewers content-wise that they are not already receiving from the other major networks?
There'll be a lot of material taped for CNN. When you're going 24 hours a day, it is unrealistic to think that you're going to have things happening 24 hours a day. There'll be a lot of commentary covering a spectrum all the way from Bella Abzug to Phyllis Schlafly, which is fairly long ways. And you will get Ralph Nader and others doing their own things, giving their own particular points of view. You will get a lot of consumer news and health news, and financial news is going to be played very heavily, and a certain amount of sports news, and much of it will be on tape. But there will be the flexibility to go live whenever something is happening that is worth going live with. There is no problem of preemption. Unlike the standard network, where news is a part of an entertainment network, so that when you want to preempt, you've got to go to other people and ask, can we preempt I Love Lucy? Here, the only thing you preempt is news on the air for more important news. So your whole perspective changes when you're thinking in terms of an all-news network.
What's going to happen if a viewer is not home to see the financial report? Is there any chance of that being repeated?
I think that almost everything that you see will be repeated at some time or other. For one thing, you will be getting headlines every half hour, brief headlines. And then specific features and longer things will be repeated, though nothing of any consequence will be repeated within a 2-hour period. So that it really is not intended that we're going to get sort of news junkies sitting there looking at 24 hours a day at what's happening. It is meant to serve those who come home at various times of the day or night, and they want to know what's going on. And indeed, the way you turn on a tap when you're thirsty is intended to give you a channel to turn on when you're curious about what's going on in the world.
How is CNN planning to cover the presidential elections, including the conventions?
CNN is planning to cover conventions, the elections, for the most part, sparsely and leanly. It's got to be admitted that in terms of budget, CNN will have a lot less money to spend on these things. Maybe a quarter of the budget of CBS News for the year is what the budget of Cable News Network is for the year, and reality is reality, that you can't do with less money what others can do with more money. Let me also say, which I'm not sure I've been asked by CNN to say, that inevitably, starting on June the 1st and plunging right into the middle of a political year, we're going to make a lot of mistakes as we learn our way around. What we'll do, however, is to not try to compete with the great networks on their own terms. That is to say, we will go into conventions and out of conventions as soon as they seem boring. We will not commit ourselves to any gavel-to-gavel coverage. We will give the essence of it. We will look for other ways to tell it. We will look for the sidebars that go along with it. We will look for other dimensions of it. In a word, we'll avoid trying to become bogged down in a competition which only one of 3 great networks can win. We'll simply compete on our own terms.
Let me just remind you that that service begins Sunday at 6 p.m. on Channel C10.